Previously on the Novympia channel.
Let's zoom in on this.
And coming up,
I've got alien earrings today.
I find you very rude. The Novympia channel is made possible by our gorgeous patrons who get access to exclusive content, and thank you to Babbel for sponsoring this video. Start the shit show.
You can do it louder than that. That's it.
Maybe that's what it takes for me to be with you.
You have such a nerve to comment on my singing when that comes out of your being.
She can't sing. That it was an impersonation, first of all. Maybe that's what it
It's
takes.
a very, very rude impersonation.
She did sound a bit like.
No,
You remember
she
Alex
didn't.
Parks? Alex Parks vanished in a sort of very thin, mysterious lesbian wisp.
Come down now to carpet madness.
Where did she go? Where did she go? This is making a fucking noise already. No, stop.
What is it?
I wanted to wear a different garment, but I tried it on and it was far too loose. I bet people are sick of me. I'm sick of myself. Sick of myself.
What are you doing?
I hadn't planned on wearing this, but
What is happening?
I'm taking this fucking thing off for the purposes of the microphone. Welcome to this Novympia presentation
Entertainment.
starring you girls.
There's not going to be a start of the show, you stupid slut.
Stupid slut.
You stupid slut.
There's so much more space on my side.
That's just hot air. No, there's not. I've got loads. Over.
Charlotte.
Today, we're going to be discussing, in the sort of run-up to spooky season, we're going to do another one of these for Halloween, but we thought we would sit down today to talk about
Been run over by a mobility scooter?
horror movies that Nova and I mean, we fucking live for a horror movie, don't we?
It gets to the point where, trying to think of the list for today, we
Madame. No, I just want to powder my nose.
probably watch like a horror movie every single week and have done for the last, like, ever since we've been together. So I, like, forget what we've
That doesn't,
actually seen.
that doesn't sound like that much, really, but we've seen a lot of them, and it gets to the point where it's kind of like, we're very discerning about what we watch
How
now.
many weeks are there in a year? 52?
74?
Yeah,
We
been
see a
together
horror
for what,
movie every
3
week?
years?
10 years?
10 years.
That's 520 horror movies.
That's fast maths. We could use you in Tulsa. People sort of ask, people would, like to understand what it is that we kind of watch, what are our faves, and we thought we'd put together a compilation of horror movies that we think are wildly underrated. So it's a mix of stuff that
Yes.
maybe you've not heard of,
Because
or maybe people chat on.
everybody talks about Midsummer. Everybody talks about the Blair Witch Project, like the big high-profile ones.
The high hitters.
We all know that they're great, although I didn't really care for Midsummer, but that's a story for another day. Everybody knows those films, but there are a few hidden gems, and there's probably loads more that we just couldn't remember for today's video. So
We've just put together a nice smattering, haven't we? It's
Yes.
too warm for you to touch me.
Get off me.
But you're the one who touched me.
Just mind yourself.
Have you not painted your nails for today's video?
I thought I'd forgotten something then. I have painted them.
They're not very neat, are they?
Well, it's hard, it's warm, isn't it?
Times is
Times is hard.
this is piss.
My first one, it's a German horror movie from the 70s. Now, this actually isn't underrated in the sense that on Rotten Tomatoes, for example, the score is like sky high.
No,
when
but sometimes I feel like we have to maybe define what underrated is first, because sometimes it's if it's been poorly critically reviewed, but we still think it's really good, or maybe it's been critically reviewed well, but like no one ever talks about it, no one saw it, maybe, do you know what I mean?
It's almost like that was the point I was going to make, and you just shat all over my face.
Well, no, you don't have to.
Your nearest exit may be behind you. So, yes, whenever I bring this movie up, Nova included, Nova actually hasn't seen this, and I was scone-faced to discover this, but it's a German movie from 1979, directed by, oh no.
What?
It's directed by Werner Herzog.
What's so bad about that?
Well, your father
Werner was a burger server in suburban Santa Barbara.
was so fucking stupid. We decided to film back in our original room today, and it's too hot for this.
Yes, we have
Where's
been
that
taking
kitchen?
all of our gear downstairs into the kitchen. Not that you would have noticed, because it all looks the fucking same, but it's just been a bit airier downstairs, but it is a pain in the ass lugging it back up and down, and we thought, you know
We'll
what?
give it another go, and
We'll
that
go
was
back into
stupid.
the filming
that
room
was
today,
stupid.
but it is warm
it's
in
so
here.
stupid.
Yeah.
Oh. It's called Nosferatu Phantom der Nacht, or Nosferatu, not very cleverly translated as Nosferatu the Vampyre. Now, there's a bunch of Nosferatu movies. The most famous one, I suppose, is from the 20s, which was the original kind of silent movie.
Which is the one that is in the SpongeBob
is
episode.
from the 20s, which is a silent movie.
Nosferatu.
That used to scare the shit out of me, that bit. This is 1979. It stars Klaus Kinski, who history would not look back on very kindly. He was kind of a monster. But the movie itself, the first time I ever saw this, my brother rented it on Netflix when they used to send you DVDs in the post. Remember that?
Oh my God, what a flashback.
Remember that?
Remember that?
Not really, no.
They used to do that.
I'm a bit younger than you. I don't really remember things that far back.
There's no tea for you tonight. No tea, no six. So he got this, and we had no idea what it was. And he used to. My brother's really into horror, and he used to kind of show me Dario Argento movies and tons of shit from like the 80s, like the video nasties. We watched Cannibal Holocaust, which was a mistake.
Henry VIII is best known for having 6 wives.
Is, by and large, I think the best vampire movie that exists. It is so atmospheric.
Quite a claim.
It is so moody. The shots linger on for longer than you would think they would. And it literally, you sort of sit and watch it and just, you never lose the sense of kind of unease when you're watching this. His performance is excellent. All right, we haven't really got to talk about him.
You're a dickhead.
It's also creepier in German, which take from that what you will.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes as an English-speaking British person who doesn't speak any other languages, foreign language movies can be creepier.
Yeah, because it kind of adds to that sense of sort of separation, or there's a sort of, element to it where you're not quite getting it.
But I think a lot of people look past foreign language movies as well because, like, Charmaine can never be asked to watch a movie with subtitles.
I don't think she can really read, though.
And coming up... Oh no.
Also, every time I kind of go to watch this, it kind of slightly rekindles my interest in learning German. I've never spoken about my German because, I don't like to embarrass myself. But I did speak a bit of German. But anyway, this really nicely leads me into the sponsor of today's video. Let's talk about that, Nova. It's Babbel! Babbel is the #1 language learning app in the world. So if you're looking to brush up on conversational skills you may already have or start learning a new language from scratch, Babbel offers a human-based approach to learning. So it makes the prospect of actually speaking a second language much more realistic.
Babbel gets you learning by talking to real teachers. The lessons are created by native language experts to prepare you for real-world conversations, which is basically the entire point of learning a language.
Precisely. So with their method, you'll learn more than just a bunch of vocabulary.
They offer multiple ways to learn, whether it's through the app, live online tutoring classes, games. You'll find that you'll be able to string together sentences in no time, and there's a long list of languages to choose from.
I personally like using the app because they're able to determine like my current grip of German to see where like my starting point is, which
I think you're losing grip.
Checks notes. Shocking. But now I feel much more comfortable saying stuff like Die Kinder der Nacht, wie sie Musik machen.
I don't speak German, but I can if you like.
Try this.
Du bist sehr schwul.
Ja, natürlich.
Basically, their method is designed to get you speaking a second language in no time at all. And with the progress I've made in Spanish, I'm already quite comfortable to say, eres molesta.
What the hell does that mean?
So why not start your language learning adventure today? Because we all know you've thought about it and thought it'd be too daunting. Whether you want to make it easier ordering in a restaurant on holiday or impressing your old language teacher who told you would amount to absolutely nothing, here's your answer.
Don't say that. Babbel are offering 30% off 6-month courses, 12-month or lifetime access for viewers of the Novympia cult lifestyle. So please check out the link in the description box below.
So thank you to Babbel
and thank you to Babbel for sponsoring this video.
That wasn't German.
Yes. Well, I'm still learning it.
Right.
Shut up. So I'm gonna make you watch this. It's long. It's very long. It's very moody, and it's very atmospheric.
Subtitles, so I'm not learning German.
No, that's fine. But you just told me you can if you like. So don't lie to my face.
Ow!
What you gonna do?
The patron stuff comes at the end, Nova. You've been here long enough now. Oh, things are moving. So if you're looking for something like Twilightian crap, she said that out loud. Then this is a lot more, adult. And I think it's the most faithful adaptation of the book, so give it a go. Give it a go. I read Bram Stoker's Dracula at school, and I've listened to the audiobook since. I think I'm qualified. I have, Nova. Well, you never read anything and you say that you do. Your turn.
Audiobooks don't count.
Yes, they do count. Get in the comments. Audiobooks bloody count. It means you've read it. If the words go in your head, something's going to go in your ass.
My first underrated horror movie is a film called Absentia, which is about a woman who has moved into a house and there's like this spooky haunted tunnel thing near her house. And there's a whole, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like, it takes the fable of like the troll under the bridge.
The three Billy Goats gruff.
Yeah.
No.
And makes it really, really demonic and twisted and scary because there is something in this like tunnel under the bridge.
The waterbed.
There's storylines where like I think her partner goes missing and then shows up like half alive. There's people sacrificing things to this tunnel. But we really, really liked it.
Never want you to see her tunnel.
No. We really liked it. It's got such like an atmosphere of...
There's a lot of dread.
Dread.
There's a lot of dread in this. It's low budget. I feel like we were reluctant to kind of give it a go. Not that, of course, a film requires a large budget, but I feel like there was something just kind of holding us back. But we recommend this all the time now to people. And our friend tried to spell it. And she said, A-Eb...
Doing my research for today's video, I never realised that this film was directed by Mike Flanagan. So that would also give you an idea as to what sort of atmosphere to expect if you are familiar with his work.
Mick Foley. Not him.
No.
Say hello to Mr. Sacco!
You know who Mick Foley is, do you?
No.
So you don't read. Okay, my second one then. I'll skip forward in time a little bit from my last one. This is a very early noughties picture. And it's low budget. It's real kind of like grassroots, dirty, filthy, happy, hot, muddy.
Dirty sex.
And it's called My Little Eye. I think my brother found this in a CEX years and years ago. We used to watch movies together all the time. It would always be horror. And we were like, let's give it a go. And the basic premise is it's like a Big Brother style house where a bunch of just like strangers are put in this house. It's not quite Saw style because they know that they're going to go there. They go of their free will. But it becomes very, very apparent that like nobody's actually watching them. And a lot of them are these kind of tropes. They're very kind of like Big Brother style, sort of fame hungry. And it's just...
I think it's very like believable.
It's very believable. It's not camp. It's very gritty. It's very early noughties kind of aesthetic. But it's very, very claustrophobic, as you can imagine, because they're in like one location. But you might immediately think it's just going to be kind of like sex and violence. But it's very, very psychological in terms of the fact people start turning on each other, and it's just really kind of like, it's delicious, I think. I don't think it did very well.
I think I remember people talking about it at the time, like in school and stuff, but I do think it's one that's been lost to the ages because I never hear anybody talking about it anymore.
I think it was probably ahead of its time,
yeah.
Possibly. I don't know, but it's definitely worth a find if you can find it.
I don't have it.
There's also, I think that's really cool about it is there's a second disc in this DVD set where you can watch it and it shows you the odds of the contestants in terms of what the odds are of them winning. And then when slightly murderous shit starts to happen, you see all the odds changing. It's just a really interesting way of watching a film, but give it a go!
No.
I'll show you My Little Eye. Oh, it was coming!
This painting was the work of a 25-year-old artist, Pablo.
It's now Nova's turn to present something. When isn't it?
Excuse me?
I can't in good faith. It's already happened.
What? I haven't. What have you done that for?
You've seen Othello. Doesn't matter if it's not true. It's out there now.
Okay, so my next one is a movie called The Bay, and this might be just me. Like, did you enjoy this film? I found it really scary.
It was one of those where I thought it was going to be cack, even to like halfway through, going to be cack, and then it took me somewhere I wasn't expecting, and it ended up being something where like we would watch that again.
It's one of those where you kind of have to suspend
The child on the ceiling.
your predisposition of like what is scientifically possible, because it's a bit like fantastical. You just kind of have to get over the premise of it, and if you can get into it, then it's scary. I have like a fear of
Anything feminine.
worms and parasites, and anything that's like parasitic I think is disgusting. Watching those videos of insects that are like being eaten alive by parasitic like fungi
like
or
the
something.
snail with the thing in its eyes.
Disgusting.
That was rough, wasn't
Absolutely
it? I think we can all agree.
Disgusting.
We stopped it, so I have to do this again.
The idea of like having a tapeworm or something. It's just so revolting. It makes me feel physically ill.
Now let's take a look.
So this film is about a town where the water supply gets infected by these microscopic parasites.
That's any town in the UK.
And nobody knows that it's happening. And what happens is if you drink these parasites, over several hours, they grow inside you, and then you die because they end up growing like absolutely massive, and you just kind of explode. So it's just like a horror film where this town, it just starts to become a bloodbath.
I wonder if our list is going to provide people with slightly different kind of moods. I feel like my first one, Nosferatu, Phantom de Nacht, is if you want as gothic and as moody as you're possibly, or atmospheric as you can possibly get. My Little Eye, very kind of like early paranoid techno millennium bug kind of vibes. The Bay, if you're into like body invasion kind of shit.
It's quite gory because the victims like literally get like ripped from the inside out when these like bugs come out of them. It's really
Absentia,
disgusting.
if you're looking for like a spin on an old fairy tale. I think we're doing really well here,
But that makes Absentia sound more mystical and pretty than it is. It's really just bleak.
No, but it does have that throwback to something that you would be sort of familiar with the concept already.
It does have a story where there's like rules in place, like there's a trade to be made and things like that. It's a very
Stay
fairy
Alive.
tale.
Do you ever see Stay Alive?
I don't think so.
That is right up your game.
Staying alive.
No.
Staying alive.
No.
She can't see.
They play it. It's basically like The Ring, but with a video game. It's very ham and camp, but you'd like it because it's that game.
Oh, I'm looking at you and all I can think of is I never asked for a free ride.
What does that mean?
Because you're wet.
I look at you and just think, that don't impress me much. Not even because of the song, but because she's in the desert in that video and you're real fucking dry. My next one is, not in a kind of like bravado kind of way, but I feel like the more horror movies you watch, the less you get scared by them.
Absolutely.
Right.
You build up a tolerance.
Okay. You can kind of plot spot, you can kind of see some tricks. I feel like with music, with anything, originality gets harder and harder, right? So in trying to find something that is really scary, I think it's just harder to come by. But there's this one movie, which it's not even that good.
How dare you?
But it has this one element to it, which I shit you not haunted me for like a week. And I struggled to sleep like one night. It really fucked me up and I do not understand why. It's an Australian movie from, I'm going to say, I don't know, like 5 years ago, could be 10, can't remember the year. It'll all come up. Called Lake Mungo. It's not a wildly original setup. It's basically that this family, the daughter passes away, and I believe it's the son who spearheads this idea that the family are being haunted by this girl. And they bring out pictures where she might be in the background, or they set up cameras and you can sort of see around the house. It seems like it's going to be a real naff setup. It's incredibly low budget. It's
very slow burn as well.
Found footage. And I don't mind a slow burn. If anything, I prefer a slow burn.
If there's payoff.
If there's payoff. And there's one part in this movie in particular. We watched this with Shah. It happens on a beach, I guess, beachy area near this Lake Mungo scenario. And I can't tell you what it is without obviously telling you, so I shan't. But it's this kind of like freeze frame moment. And we watch a lot of horror movies with Shah, and I've never seen Shah leave her seat. And that's not even an exaggeration. She left her fucking seat. Now, the problem is I probably built this up too much that if you watch this, you're like, oh, that wasn't even that scary. But something about this movie scared the shit out of Shah and I, in particular. I don't know. You remember the bit that I'm talking about? Yeah. So, I mean, you never hear people talking about this one. I'd give it a go if you've never seen it.
No, I think we just found it, like, searching for horror movies on streaming on Google or something.
That's going to be our ghost entry, I imagine, into this space. Your turn.
My next one, I think
You're like.
this one had the same director as Paranormal Activity, so it had really high expectations and was a total flop, was critically panned, made no money. I think, again, much like with The Bay, if you can just accept the concept is what it is and just forget about how we got there and just be in the movie. It was so good, I heard that.
No, I've been really struggling over here.
I heard that. This is a sci-fi film called Area 51, and it's a found footage film. And I think you kind of just have to put aside the ridiculous, ludicrous story. Basically, it's a group of kids, and they get inside Area 51. It's obviously way too easy and nonsense that like a group of teenagers would be able to infiltrate. So just forget about that. Once they're actually inside Area 51, everything that happens is so cool, so creative, so creepy, and it's one of those films where it doesn't stop. As soon as they're in there, it's then just all systems go right to the end. And I think it really benefits from the found footage style. They can get away with like less budget for shooting and everything, and it makes it feel grittier and more real. But what they find inside Area 51, especially the final shot of the film, I thought was just so clever.
The final scene is quite haunting. If you can really sort of sit back and accept the fact that you're taking it up the ass because it's just so inconceivable that a bunch of teenagers have just wandered into Area 51. And obviously they find shit that is most likely nowhere near Area 51, if it exists at all.
Area 51 exists.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, but do they have fucking spaceships there? This isn't that video. This isn't that video. Well, in that vein, I'm going to propose, I'm having a bit of an alien renaissance in my life. Done alien podcasts, just really in that vibe at the moment. We watched that documentary.
Go on there, you kind of had an awkward pause.
I am going on.
Right. I've got alien earrings today.
I decided to come back. In that kind of feeling, this one in particular I think is wildly underrated. You know what it is? We literally watched it the other day. I try to recommend this movie to people as much as possible. Now the problem with this, it's called The Fourth Kind. It's probably one of the more well-known on our list, I imagine.
Yeah. It's like infamous.
Probably because of a certain level of infamy. Now the problem with this is that it was marketed as being a true story. Aren't they fucking all, first of all? But this took it a step further by reenacting scenes that were recorded of therapy sessions, of, you know, these kind of like goings on that really occurred. That raw footage is also staged. So some people would argue it's
as a documentary.
Some people would argue it's either cheeky because it's trying to pass itself off as being a documentary, or why bother even doing that in the first place if the whole thing's fake. To me, it just adds a certain extra level of intrigue. I struggle with the idea that people say, oh my god, it's so fake. It's a fucking movie. They're all fake.
It makes me think of, again, people hated this, but I really enjoyed it. It makes me think of American Horror Story Roanoke. They did a similar device where they had a real location and had like a reality show. I'm not explaining it very well.
No.
But it was a very similar idea that there was like a fake, legit storyline and then a fake storyline.
I like Milla Jovovich. I think unfortunately she's been in an absolute pile.
She's somebody that needs to learn to say no.
Do you remember Ultraviolet when she did that woohoo?
I never saw it.
I've put in the woohoo.
It ended up straight at the bargain bins of like Spa.
Tesco. She plays a psychologist who has a bunch of patients who are all coming to her with similar stories of how they can't sleep because they're seeing an owl outside their bedroom window. And yeah, there's a few kind of naff points to this, but I just love anything that kind of is to do with aliens, and I think it's an underrated gem.
I think the worst thing about this film, because I really enjoy it because it does scare me. Like it does.
It's scary.
It does scare me. I think it's a victim of very, very of the time editing.
Go for it, Jen. Go for it, Jen.
It's like they've gone onto dafont.com and typed in sci-fi fonts, because all the text that comes up is very like, it's really naff.
They could
I think is
taken
tricky.
themselves a little less seriously with it.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's so great.
I think it's a concept that could definitely be revisited.
The Fifth
and
Kind.
Redone. Well, no, but like you could take the idea of like how the victims, what they were seeing. I don't want to do spoilers in case you want to watch it, but you could take that concept in that, what's the word? Lore. You could take that lore and use it in a new film. I think that was the most interesting part about it.
What's your favourite kind of pie?
What's your favourite pie?
Got it in. I've been waiting.
My next one is one of our favourite
Pie.
horror movies, and it just I genuinely don't understand why people don't like this, and this one again was critically panned, and I just don't understand why.
Oh no, what is it?
This is As Above, So Below.
Now shut up, Nova. That is fucking great.
People hated this film.
It was so
I don't
inventive.
understand why. I thought it's another one where maybe people didn't like the lead actress, because I can see how she could be a little bit annoying at first, and it's another found footage style film, but it's this, I think she's a British lady, and
Scarlett something.
She's trying to complete her father's work, who was an archaeologist, and finding some kind of artifact or something. Very Lara Croft. And it takes her to the catacombs in Paris underground, and she cons some friends basically into joining her, and they go on this guided tour of the catacombs and get lost, and then loads of supernatural bullshit starts to happen. But I just thought the pacing of this film is so good. I thought it really had a sense of adventure as well as being terrifying.
Pant-crappingly scary. It's really scary. I think what I appreciate the most about it is the way it handles its kind of the visuals in regard to how it's sort of like a version of hell. Because I feel like you can go so naff so easily.
It's grounded. It's always
grounded. If it involves
grounded.
demons, if it involves anything, but it's biblical and it's done in a very realistic way, which makes it even scarier. And I think there's a lot to be said for, let's talk about how, I will never not bring this up when I can. Heather Donahue in The Blair Witch Project was nominated for a Razzie. Now I think if you look back at her performance in The Blair Witch Project, it's actually really fucking solid. And I'm not just saying that because it's like one of my faves. The character is so irritating. Doesn't mean it's a bad performance.
When it's an actor's debut performance and they're playing an annoying character. Because the same thing happened with Kristen Stewart.
I mean, it's interesting that these are all women. Maybe there's something to be said for that as well. It's a perfectly good performance.
We'd really recommend As Above, So Below.
That will be the demon element of our list. I'm going to go ahead now and introduce a Halle Berry movie, which it's underrated probably for the fact that if you try and watch this with a serious lens, it's not really going to work for you. But it's called Gothika. It's one of Halle Berry's maybe lesser known pictures. Not as lesser known as like Dark Tides, for example. Do you remember Dark Tides?
No.
Yes, that shark one she was in. We had to turn it off because you just couldn't figure out what was going on.
Just really dark so that you couldn't see anything.
You physically couldn't figure out what was going on. It was just a really badly put together movie. But Gothika, okay, now get this, you're good as shit. Halle Berry plays Miranda Gray, a psychologist working in a mental health facility, and one day she wakes up on the other side of the glass. And she suddenly wakes up and she's like, oh my God, I'm a patient. I guess it's a little Hitchcockian in that kind of twisty setup.
It's not as naff as it sounds. Well, no, it is. It's quite thrilling though. If you just want something that's going to be like full of twists and turns, and yeah, it is camp.
If you want something that you can have friends over and you can still be sort of talking over it, you can be having a drink.
Daft,
it's fun, don't overthink it.
Mystery, thriller.
And then it involves kind of like, you know, it turns out that she's murdered her husband, and it's like, well, she doesn't remember doing that, and then there's kind of like supernatural stuff at play. It's so ham, you could make a fucking like full-on spread. It's so ham.
Don't say
Watch
spread.
it. I'll spread.
Don't say
warm
spread.
in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to wipe the underside of my knees. So if we're, you know, going to be recommending kind of a little horror gem that maybe you haven't seen before, that's usually the kind of area that we're coming from. There's a couple of things that we discussed as well. Ghost Ship is one of my absolute faves. Nova said don't mention it because it's not underrated enough.
I feel like Ghost Ship has one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history.
Okay, well, first of all, that's dumb to suggest that. Cinema history, Nova.
Oh my God, if you have seen that
Cinema
scene,
history.
It stays with you.
It's the opening
I think people
scene.
would agree with me.
The opening scene. I guess you'll know, if you've seen it, you'll know what scene Nova's talking about. It was absolutely shat on. It is what it is, though. It's a fucking haunted ocean liner. Who's expecting Citizen Kane from that, honestly?
Do you know what else we really enjoyed?
Go on.
The Cube movies.
Cube, great one.
And I can't remember if the original one was actually received very well and the sequel's not so much, or vice versa, but but we loved all of them. I thought they were great, like really interesting.
They were real good. Also,
Quite low
probably
budge.
ahead of their time.
Quite low budget noughties, CGI in some of them. But
would you have Saw if you didn't have Cube? I don't know if you would.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of kind of influence there. 13 Ghosts is a great one. The Skeleton Key, I don't know why that did so badly. To me, The Skeleton Key has one of the best endings of a horror movie that there is. So that one to me. Also, it's a real interesting spin on the haunted house trope. So
I think it's taken a while for horror movies to actually be seen seriously by critics.
maybe 5 or so years ago that tide started to change a little bit. But anyway, I don't know. Have you seen any of these? Please leave your recommendations down below in the description commentary area.
Do you just hate horror movies? I always feel so bad for people that don't like horror movies, because I feel like even if you're a fan of sci-fi or fantasy, there's only a few steps to go to the horror genre, and I feel like you're missing out on some great sci-fi fantasy stories if you are closing yourself off to horror.
I mean, I guess people don't like being scared though, do they? So you can kind of understand
Go
where they're coming from.
easy and watch with friends during the day, and work your way up to like the more scary films.
This is going to be a precursor to a great Halloween season that we've got coming up in October. We are going to be doing another grim tour of Bournemouth. If you've never seen our original one, we went to all these scary, spooky, murderous locations around the town that we live in, so we're going to do one more of those.
Hopefully it won't be raining when we do it.
We're going to do our Halloween playlist, all the movies that we like to put on when we're carving pumpkins, and then we're also going to be doing, maybe something else in the vein of what we did last year, which was what? An underrated horror gem.
I think we should do a pumpkin carving contest.
Listen, there's so many things that we want to get in, so stick around for the Novympia channel during October, because it's going to be hot shit. If you'd like to join us over on the Patreon for additional content, then the link will be coming up presently, won't it, Nova?
That sounds very formal.
Yeah?
What?
Well, you got to make the noise, haven't you?
Why'd I have to make a noise now?
It comes, if you don't do the noise, it doesn't come up. I don't make
That's
the
what
rules,
she
but it
says.
comes up when you shout, weirdly, so... Oh!
What you gonna do with all that ass?
For some reason, I thought you were going to go sick on yourself. Some of those guys...
Scared you. Just the theme of today's video being scared.
Yeah. Some of those guys on the Patreon get birthday shout-outs, including...
But not limited to...
For August 22nd, Shah, happy birthday, Shah. Not
Happy
that
birthday,
Shah.
Shah.
Not that Shah. She wouldn't get one. For August 26th, it's Carlin Marshall, so happy birthday, Carlin.
Happy birthday, Callum.
Carlin.
Carlin?
Carlin.
It's your accent.
As in between a rock and Carlin.
Happy birthday to Candice, that bitch Hazel, and Danny for the 20th of August.
Happy birthday, then.
She's having a moment. So also, August 29th, big happy birthday to Cowbells of Oz. And then do you want to do the last one?
Oh, thank you very much, Nova. You're so gracious about things. August 30th is Elizabeth. Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you so much for being patrons of ours. We're also on Twitch if you'd like to join us for game night.
Yeah. I think you should play a horror movie on Twitch. Horror movie, horror game.
You're so dumb. I've been playing Dead by Daylight, haven't I?
That doesn't really
Well, you
count.
pick them up and you shove it right up the jacksie.
I mean, like a first person. You should play like Resident Evil or Alien Isolation or something.
Resident Evil gives me Mila Jovovich flashbacks.
Oh, I just realised because I was thinking about the games.
Because that time I slept with her.
Oh.
And a guten tag to our brand new patrons, CBA Too Tired, Ryan Gordon, Catherine B, Sambuca Burns, Harry, Matty the Bear, Rob Schroeder, Steph Utek, Lyle Cackshoes, and Mark Keenan.
Yeah,
We
been
see a
together
horror
for what?
movie every
3
week?
years?
10 years.
10 years.
That's 520 horror movies.
That's fast maths. We could use you in Tulsa.
Join the Patron, we'll do a shot of Patron.